Hey folks, Jesus is coming soon. Now, I know I look maybe a little depressed, y'all. I promise you I'm not. It's more a little annoyed about some news that I'd found out today. I'll get into that later at the doctor's office. But, there's this stuff going around right now about the Kennedy guy wanting to take all this bad stuff out of food that should have been done long time ago. And I can say this now, but back growing up in the 90s, in the 80s, and I know a long time before that, you see it in the pictures and movies and everything, everybody was not everybody, but a huge majority of people were thin and healthy for the most part. It's because they didn't put all this garbage in our foods that we have today. Now, of course y'all know, because I've said it, I've been on steroids for a year and 2 months. I swear these doctors are gambling with my life here. They don't want to listen to you. And they're interested in things that don't matter about you, instead of focusing on the task at hand that should be corrected, that you're having the main issue with. One second. But anyways, those steroids took a toll on my body, and the last thing I need is kidney failure. Last June I fasted for, my goodness, 4 weeks. I didn't have much food at all in 4 weeks, and I had lost 40 pounds. 40 pounds. I dropped down to 190. I hadn't been 190 since 2011, and I was feeling great. Because when I first met my wife, I was about 175, fit and healthy. I did smoke back then. I wish I wouldn't have done that, but in the 80s and the 90s, people were like that. They were healthy for the most part. And now you look around and everybody's just like how I am, just chubby. You rarely see someone skinny now. And it's the foods. It's truly the foods. But they're using this, well, if you take, what is it, yellow number 5, blue this, and green that, and purple turquoise, whatever all these other colors they use, you take all that out, then we're going to have to raise the prices on food. Now, it's because we're that close to the tribulation, there's not going to be any food. But, that's that video I made about everything being dull. Cars, like white and black, and there's gray. You don't see too many colorful cars anymore, or bicycles, or everything's just bland, But foods are bright and colorful. They make everybody happy. I guess that's what's doing it. I don't know, but for me, it's these steroids that I hate so much. Nothing else works. Literally nothing. Tried everything. We're so close to the Lord coming, y'all, and people are so naive, so blinded to it. And it goes back down to people not listening. And it's not just doctors; it's literally everybody. Nobody wants to listen. They want to just, well, I know it all. I know everything, And, well, you don't know everything. You don't think you know it all up until you're wrong, and then it'll be too late. So I go in the doctor today. Of course, sat in the waiting room for 3 hours, and I didn't know that man was running that whole doctor's office by himself all day, and I wasn't annoyed with him or anything. I understood after that nurse told me that. But I go in there and I sit down and talk. I said, look, man, we need to talk. I've been dealing with this for a year and 2 months. And if it was just a stuffy nose or ear trouble that I've been having, I'm practically deaf in my left ear, or just losing my smell, that's the first thing that always goes with this stuff is my smell. And it's not COVID. And no, I know I've had a lot of people say, I've never been vaccinated, and I never will. Never. Never had the flu, never had a flu shot, But he gets this little numbing stuff and sprays all up in my nose. Then he gets a camera and looks in there and he goes, I found your problem. Well, Doc, what's my problem? You need sinus surgery, like right now. Well, I had sinus surgery 6 years ago. Well, you're going to have it again. Is that okay? So it's either, here's my options if I don't have this surgery. And this is why I'm so annoyed today. It's continue on the path that I'm going, taking steroids every other month, and die of kidney failure, or get off of steroids, have my oxygen drop to in the 80s, 70s, and die. So that's my two options: die, or have surgery. So there's three. I had a bad experience with that last surgery, but this time it's not as bad. Y'all, I'm confused, because the last time I had sinus surgery, I had polyps, and they were so bad that they were hanging out of my nose. It was embarrassing. This time I just have them just right here on my right side. So before, when they were really bad, I didn't have low oxygen problems and coughing and all the stuff that I'm having now. It beats all I've ever seen. And it's like, no matter how far I pull that chain back, I'm being yanked back. You know, you're not alone in your tribulations, folks. I assure you. I think so many of you just going through it too. And just know that we're all in this boat together. It may be sinking, but the Lord's coming. I keep telling myself, why would the Lord push me this far when he could have took me the last surgery I had? I mean, I was right there. I heard heaven. I was right there. You know? And it's like, and then before that, the surgery before that, I was right there. Flatlined. You know, I understand that we have things to do. It's tough, folks. You think you've gotten past something, and then it literally just punches you in the mouth. Just hang on, y'all. You know, you have one doctor telling you something, and then another one telling you something else. The other doctor last Friday was talking about, man, it's my tonsils, and I need tubes in my ears, and all this other stuff. And then you have I could deal with pain. It's not, pain's not what I'm worried about. That's something I deal with on a daily basis. I mean, my spine, I have bone to bone rubbed together all the time, so I'm in constant pain as it is, and permanent nerve damage, and that stuff don't bother me. What bothers me is, and I've said this before, but if any of you have ever dealt with hypoxia, which is like drowning, but you're not in water, that is like a very, I don't ever want to experience that again, you know. But it gets to that point, and that's the things that I can't deal with. You know, last June, and I was telling my wife and the doctor this earlier, last June when I was going through that, it was for like 8 minutes straight. I could not get oxygen. It was like, call 911, and I was like, okay, I'm fine. No, call 911, and it was back and forth. I was literally saying, Lord, please either heal me or take me now. I can't deal with it. I mean, it was that bad. It was rough. I don't wish that on nobody. But it's that stuff that I can't handle. The breathing problems. And this surgery, this sinus surgery to remove polyps, again, it was not a good experience for me last time, and it's just got me wired up, y'all. And I know somebody in the comments will say something about I don't fear death. I mean, that's already happened to me 3 times, you know. I mean, it's nothing to do with that. It's just, I guess it's more of the not being able to get ahead of things. You know, it's just like keep getting thrown backwards. That's it. I pray all of you are doing good. I know, like I said, I know things are tough for a lot of us, and we're in that same boat, y'all. Trying to scoop all the water out, but it just keeps coming on in. But hang on, hang on. But just, you know, that doctor, he's so super nice, and I don't like being just rude to somebody. But I wanted to say something like, man, why did you wait this long? I saw him back in June after the first time I got out of the hospital. Why didn't, and then we did testings. Why didn't you do something then? You know, why did you wait this long? Where I'm sure some of you get it. Again, just hang on, folks, because Jesus is coming. Romans 10:9-13. I love all of you. I truly do. Just please say a prayer for us. You know, that's all I can ask. God bless.